Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today's video I wanted to make like a fun little video about all of the books that got me into reading in the first place, like the books that I went and voluntarily got myself, like outside of school and sought out myself, and also the books that got me out of a reading slump, like even years long reading slump. I thought I would show you those books that just made me fall in love with reading again. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first book that I am going to show you is the Halo series by Alexandra Adornetto. Also, a little disclaimer, if I am not pronouncing any authors' names right, please correct me. I would like to make sure I'm pronouncing them right, but if not, I am sorry. But yes, this is the Halo series. First thing first, I just love the covers of these books. It's a trilogy, and I don't know why. Like, the covers is what drawn me to the series in the first place. I thought it was gorgeous. But yes, this is the very first book series that I actually went and sought out myself at a bookstore. A lot of the times I usually only read books that I was supposed to be reading in school, and you know, I realized in school I visited the library a lot, and then went from there to actually going to bookstores, BAM in specific, Books A Million, and bought this series myself voluntarily, and it was a really exciting moment in my life. And there is a lot of mixed reviews about this series. There's a lot of reviews that say that the main protagonist, Bethany, is very shallow, very goody and super innocent and dense, and like not a lot of people like her character. There's a lot of mixed reviews with just, you know, the series in general. They don't like there's honestly more negative reviews about this series than positive ones, but to each their own. For me personally, I absolutely love this series. Granted, I have not read it since I was like 14 years old, and I am now 23 years old, so yes, it has been a while, but at the time I did love the series. It was the very first book series that got me into reading, and so it'll always hold a little special place in my heart. And also, I want everybody to keep in mind that the author as well was only a teenager when she wrote this book, when she wrote Halo. Like, she was still a teenager, so she still had a lot of learning to do herself, I bet. So I feel like maybe people shouldn't crack down as hard on the series, just kind of keep those things in mind. Also, I did want to put out there that this series does lack people of color. It is pretty much an all-white town, all-white characters, so that does kind of suck. It's not something that I noticed when I was younger. I was very uneducated about those kinds of things in books. You know, when you're young, you don't think about all that negativity and the lack of like inclusivity. I can't even say the word. You know what I'm trying to say though. But obviously when I got older, I learned those things need to be in books, and this book does not have it. So if that absolutely bothers you, then don't read it. But nonetheless, I did love the book, and at 14 years old, it was one of my favorites. Essentially, the book is about these three angels that come to this really cute little seaside town called Venus Cove, and they are on this mission to just kind of make the town a better place and rid it of the dark influence that is taking over it. And there is Gabriel, who becomes a music teacher at the local high school. There is Ivy, who is, she stays home, but she goes about the town and does charity work and volunteering and things like that. And then there is Bethany. She is the youngest angel there is, and she is also, if I remember correctly, not fully angel. I believe she is, has some human in her. So she becomes a high school student at the local high school, and it kind of takes this turn where while they're doing their mission, Bethany, that human side of her, just kind of starts to really connect with, you know, friends, boy, Xavier Woods. They start to really have strong feelings for each other, and obviously that causes some turmoil because angels and humans, nay, they're not supposed to go together. So that causes some issues. And also there is this very dark and mysterious boy, Jake Thorne, that causes some issues, and I'm not going to get too much into it and what he is all about. I don't want to spoil it, but he, you know, I feel like is more of the darker influence of the book. And in the second book, Hades, you take a little trip into hell on that side of things. And then the third book in the trilogy is more based on the trials and the, you know, everything that you would do for the love of your life kind of aspect of the human and angel part of the book. So yeah, it's a really fun young adult series, very romantic, got some action, you know, the whole fantasy angels and humans world. I thought it was really, really cute for its time. And, you know, it was one of my first series, so it holds a very special place in my heart. Highly recommend. The next book that I am going to talk about is Falling Under and Dreaming Awake by Gwen Hayes. I bought these very shortly after the Halo trilogy. This series is so cute. I'm actually about to reread these books because when I was, you know, getting ready to make this video, I was reading about the books that I haven't read since I was a teenager just to kind of refresh my mind a little bit, and I started remembering so much about these books and how much I love them. I like these ones better than the Halo trilogy. These ones are very good. They're pretty sure they're young adult, fantasy, kind of dark twistiness to it. There's a lot of creepy aspects in this book. Don't think they're really spicy. There might be a little bit in them if I remember correctly, a little bit of talk of some spice. But essentially these books are about this girl. She's very shy, very reserved. She's in high school where she meets the new boy, Hayden Black, I believe is his name. Her name's Thea. And she meets Hayden Black, and he's like, you know, the very dark, mysterious new boy in school, and they're very drawn to each other, but he is constantly like, you know, stay away from me, I'm no good for you, you know, it'd be more safe if you weren't around me. And so you've got that kind of like, what the heck, what is wrong with him? But they can't stay away from each other. She can't stay away from him. And you're kind of sucked into this, she's kind of sucked into this darkness about him that he carries, because he is got a little bit of a paranormal side to him. I don't want to spoil it. And he really struggles to battle the half human, half dark side of him. And it's just a very fun, very dark and twisty, kind of spooky, romantic story. The relationship between the two is very beautiful, very you know, very in love with each other, and also how you love with the darkness inside you. It's very interesting to read, and I really liked it, and I'm actually about to do a reread of it because I remember loving it so much. So yes, these books for sure is what got me into reading. They're really, really good, so I recommend if you're looking just for some, they're not, you know, thick at all. So if you're looking for some quick, fun, you know, dark, romantic little young adult reads, then these books are for you. Okay, so the next book we're going to talk about is Chasing Brooklyn by Lisa Schroeder. I actually found this book in my 8th grade English class during, we had things called Silent Reading Day, where the teacher would just have us go pick a book out from her shelf. And, you know, we would sit and spend the period reading, and I was actually one of the students who did read, and I am really grateful I did because I found this really, really cute book. Obviously, this book is not spicy. It was in my 8th grade reading class, but this book is really, really good, and it is essentially about this girl who had lost her boyfriend a year ago. He died, and, you know, she is obviously struggling with that fact and grieving, and a year later, after the death of her boyfriend, his best friend Gabe dies of an overdose. And she starts getting these really spooky, haunting nightmares about Gabe. Feels like he's kind of haunting her in her dreams in a way. And then you have Luca, who is the dead boyfriend. You have his brother Nico, his older brother Nico, who is getting these really haunting, cryptic messages supposedly from his dead brother Luca. Luca and Nico is like, I keep getting mixed up with it. They're so similar. But he's getting these really cryptic, haunting messages from his dead brother Luca that he needs to go check up on Brooklyn, that she needs help right now and he needs to go be there for her. And after, you know, a few times, Nico eventually gives in and decides to go check up on Brooklyn and, you know, see what's going on with her. And so, you know, the two of them are both going through so much. You have Nico, who is feeling a lot of resentment and guilt and grief after losing his younger brother. You have Brooklyn, who is obviously feeling a lot of grief, and, you know, she lost someone she considered the love of her life, and she's not doing good, feeling, you know, like she's being haunted by Gabe's ghost now and having very, you know, dark nightmares from him. And so these two, they kind of just learn to eventually let each other in and help each other out through everything. And, you know, a very, very nice relationship blossoms there between them. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because I don't want to give a lot away. But this book was so cute and heart-wrenching. It's a little tearjerker, but it's so beautiful nonetheless. And it was so cute. And I am so glad that I picked this up in my 8th grade class, because it has been, you know, one of my favorite things that got me into reading. It holds a little special place in my heart. And so yes, go read this book if you are into that kind of thing. Okay, so this next book I'm going to show you, we are kind of delving into spicy romance novels now. So these are going to contain a lot of spice, a lot of heat, a lot of sexual content. So reader be warned. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the Breathless trilogy by Maya Banks. I have it in the box set, but I wanted to show you guys like each specific book. I actually really like the covers of these books. I thought the art was very, very cool. So here is Rush, and then we got Fever, and then we got Burn. I don't know, I really liked the cover art of these books. But these books follow 3 different best friends. There is Gabe, there is Jace, and then Ash. And so the first book is about Gabe and Mia. And Mia is the younger sister of Jace, and that is who the second book is about. And she's always had this little crush on her brother's best friend, and obviously, like, you know, nothing ever came of it growing up because, you know, he was older. That's his best friend's little sister. But eventually they run into each other at like a little charity event or something like that. It was some kind of like ball. I haven't read this book in like a couple years. It was like some kind of like ball though, and he sees her there and he's like, oh, I can't let her go this time. And so a little bit, you know, a little bit sparks between them finally, but he, you know, he's got some things about himself that makes him not the most normal guy to be in a relationship with. He obviously has some kinks, and he needs to make sure that she is on board with them. This book kind of has a little bit of 50 Shades of Grayness to it, but I like it better than 50 Shades of Grey. So yeah, that is all I'm going to give away about that one. We're going to move on to the second one. And so Fever is about Jace, who is Mia's older brother, and he meets this girl who is, she's a server at this event that they are attending, and him and their friend Ash decide to, you know, spend a little night with her together because Jace and Ash do have a tendency to share their women sometimes, and her name's Bethany, you know, agrees to it because she is actually homeless, and she's like, you know what, it's a place to stay tonight, they're very attractive men, they're gonna feed me, it sounds like a good time, so let's do it. But when they do get down to business, Jace finds himself just being very, very possessive over her, which is something that has never happened before, and so he's just kind of like, yeah, maybe I have feelings for this girl. But things are very difficult with her because she struggles to trust, let people in. She is homeless. He doesn't realize it at first. She's got this sketchy best friend, Jack, that, you know, Jace is not a fan of. And so there's just all that drama intertwined up in there. And you also have Jace, who is someone with very specific kinks, and being in a relationship with somebody like that. So yeah, very fun, hot, steamy. Okay, and so the third book is following Ash and Josie. He sees this girl in the park and realizes that she is wearing a collar around her neck, which means she belongs to a dom. But even though he just met her and just talked to her for the first time, he is like, oh, there's something different about her. We all know how this goes in the books, love at first sight kind of thing. These men get very primal and possessive very quickly. And so he's like, I want her. And she is already a submissive of another dom, but he is not a good dom. He's very crappy dom, very uneducated about it. And he just kind of like plays the game. It's not really, he's not doing it really right. He just wants to be a controlling asshole. And so that kind of brings her and Ash together. You know, this cute little relationship blossoms between them, but there is some drama from, you know, her past and things that she's been in, and also him as well. And so yes, this is a very fun, quick, steamy read with lots of angst, and yeah, very good. This series holds a special place in my heart because it was my very first ever spicy series that got me into romance novels. Okay, and so the next series that I am going to show you is also another series that I love so much, one of my first ever spicy romance series as well, and that is the Hacker series by Meredith Wild. I love this series so much. It was so fun, so spicy. Blake Landon is literally, I love him so much. This series follows the character of Blake Landon, who is this famous hacker, like computer hacker guy, and he's got his own big business that I'm not even going to pretend that I know what he does for a living because I have no idea, but you know, he's very famous and, you know, very well known for his business, millionaire, all that kind of stuff. And then you have Erica, who I'm pretty sure she was just getting out of college, trying to start up her own little business, and he's like an investor, so she pitches her business to him, and he's just kind of like a dick at first and not getting off to the best start, but apparently he's got his sights set on her. So yeah, they kind of get entwined in the business aspect of their lives, and you know, a little bit of romance blossoms between them, but there is also, you know, just a lot of enemies that follow into that world when you're a big known person in the media. So he has a lot of enemies. He's got a very sketchy background because he was a hacker. And so yeah, the series gets very crazy, lots of ups and downs in their relationships, but it is very, very good and very, very spicy, and I highly recommend it. Okay, and so now we are delving into some fantasy books. I had a little bit of years long reading slump after reading some of those spicy romance novels, and I just wasn't really reading, and I also became a mom, so yeah, not a lot of reading happening there. But I ended up getting on TikTok, and we all know we got some book talk popping on there, and I ended up picking up the From Blood and Ash series, and oh my gosh, yeah, this just started it all back up again for me. I really don't think I'll ever get into a reading slump again, especially after being on book talk. But yeah, this series is really, really good. It really got me more into fantasy books. I read, you know, some young adult when I was younger, as I've showed you, but not really a lot of fantasy or fantasy romance. And yeah, so this really got me into it, and this was really freaking good. So yeah, this book follows Poppy. She is the maiden, and she is, you know, not supposed to show her face, her body. She's covered up. She's not allowed to talk to anybody. You know, and she's supposed to ascend. It's supposed to be like good for everybody. I don't know. And she ends up meeting Hawk, who becomes her new bodyguard. And, you know, a little bit of friendship blossoms there, a little bit of romance, her just really becoming daring and wanting to make choices for herself. And it turns out, you know, things don't really go as planned, and a lot of these issues, a lot of the whole maiden thing starts to fall through. And I'm not going to give a lot away, because if you haven't read the series, then those are, you know, I already feel like said too much about it. So yeah, this series is really good. A lot of betrayal, a lot of finding yourself, a lot of friends to lovers to enemies, back to friends to lovers, and it's really, really good. I highly recommend the From Blood and Ash series. I actually haven't read the third one yet because I read spoilers of books, and I know I know how it ends, and I need to wait till the next one to read it, or I will literally go crazy. So yes, highly recommend. Okay, and so the very last series that I'm going to talk about is A Court of Thorns and Roses series. There's a lot in it. And this is an unfinished series. So was the From Blood and Ash series. But yeah, we all know, I feel like this series got everybody out of a reading slump. You know, there is a lot of controversy surrounding this series, but let's just put aside the politics of it for right now. This was a damn good series. It was so beautifully written. It follows Feyre, who is, you know, out hunting for her family, for them to survive. They are very, very poor. You know, she is the youngest sister out of 3, and she is the one, you know, trying to save them and put food on the table for them, where she ends up killing a wolf who is part of the Fey world, Perithian, and so she ends up being kidnapped by another Fey for, you know, breaking the rules and killing another Fey, where she is taken to Perithian to live there, but you know, little does she know there is this curse taking over all of Perithian by the ruler Amarantha, and you know, she does what she can to try to break it, because she ends up caring for her captor Tamlin. You know, a little bit of a relationship sparks there, a friendship sparks with her and the character Lucian, and you know, she tries, you know, she wants to save them all, and so she goes through these trials, and yeah, it's crazy. It is a crazy book, very, very fantasy, it's got beautiful world building. I love all of the characters, literally all of the characters. And later in the series, you get to follow more in outside of Tamlin in the Spring Court, and with the character Rhysand in the Night Court and his inner circle. That's all I'm going to really say about it, because I don't want to give too many spoilers away or details away for people that haven't read the series yet or haven't finished the first book. But this series is seriously amazing, and I love it so much. It is one of my all-time favorites. Got me out of a real good reading slump, and I highly recommend it. Hey everybody, that is all the books that I have today to show you guys that got me into reading and out of the reading slumps. And also, I want to apologize if my light was fluctuating at all throughout this video. My light kept dying and dimming throughout the whole thing. It was very, very annoying, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, you know, let me know, you guys, what books got you out of your reading slumps, so I can, you know, add those to my TBR. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You know, I'm gonna start making some more videos about other books, so you guys stick around, hit that like, hit that subscribe and the notification bell, and I will see you guys in my next video.